Rosin, welcome to Permastoked, man. How you doing?
Man, I'm awesome. Thank you so much for having me. This is rad.
Right on. Great to hear. You've been a big supporter of the show since day one. I think even
Day
before the
one,
show
baby.
came out. Yeah,
Oh yeah, I was perma-stoked way before, way
right on.
before.
I had a meeting with a guy a couple weeks ago, and he was using the word permastoked as an adjective describing different surfers. Man, that got me so excited to hear that.
I like that too, man. That's great. Yeah, good things
Yeah,
are happening, man. Good things are happening.
I mean, the word kind of existed before, but I mean, it wasn't
Yep.
in, full blown usage or anything. So if I can bring
No.
that to the mainstream, then hey, I've done
Boom.
my
Make it perma.
contribution.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you've done it, man. It's permanent now.
Don't mind me. I'm drinking my Budweiser Zero.
Ooh, good. Yeah, lower that carb count, girl.
The,
Excellent. Yeah, I'm drinking coffee and water though. Hydrated,
right
staying
on.
hydrated.
The joys of alcohol without the stupid and
Yeah.
only 50 calories. And I'm getting that
Mm.
real Budweiser taste, so I can't go wrong.
Nice. Are you are you sponsored now?
Oh yeah. Brought to you by no, actually
Budweiser.
no, that's actually something I need to explore, but no, I haven't
Yeah,
been on
man.
the phone with Budweiser as of yet.
Dude, you got to get on it, man. You got to get on it.
Right
People
on.
will buy it.
So hey, I'm looking at you there in at Hidden Village Surfcraft Design. It's bringing nostalgic vibes to me.
Nice. Yeah, sick. Welcome back. Welcome back to my little dust box, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, we miss you. We miss you out west, but it's glad to hear that you're doing well out east, dude.
yeah. It was only a matter of months or weeks ago. There I
Yeah,
was
really.
in that shaping bay, making that mini Malibu.
Yep, 100%, man. So stoked on that. You haven't gotten to try that yet, have you?
No, in
It's
fact,
still
it
with your
hasn't
wife?
even arrived yet. My the
It's still with your
moving
wife,
truck
yeah?
is the moving truck is supposed to be arriving on the 22nd, so next Tuesday. So
Ooh,
which
good.
it needs to get here soon, man, because the weather has turned. And like I was out
Yeah.
surfing in Kincardine a couple weeks ago in no wetsuit. I was out there last Saturday. Wow, man, the water, it was like suddenly it's like glacier water. Like
Oh, that's crazy.
it turned.
Yeah.
So I need that wetsuit. I need my
Oh,
booties.
100%.
Yeah, I need
100%. Oh,
that
man.
gear. Yeah.
Yeah, man, I got that low blood circulation too. So like anytime that I hear cold water, I just like shiver right away. I'm like a booties guy almost all year round. But
Yeah.
yeah,
So hey,
yeah.
you've been hitting that West Coast surf lately or what?
Yeah, I mean, like ever since like the COVID okay kind of happened on June 1st, I don't get to go back as often as I'd like to, but I try to call the community up and like friends and stuff like that. So or like, like book that campsite and whatnot. And I've been getting wet. I've been getting salty, so it's been good. But like it's also summertime for me is more of like a production time. Like I
Mm,
love longboarding. I love, the tiny little waves, but sometimes like I can give it or take it. And we're getting to that point right now. Like September is like starting to rear some swell up and whatnot. So
yeah.
this is my go time right now. Yeah. So I'm hoping to make more moves, and hopefully COVID still kind of stays like pretty chill, and I can continue going to the island as much as I want to. But yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I haven't really been listening to the news, but when I was in Vancouver, I mean, we were, COVID was a thing, but we were kind of looking at the rest of the world going, hey, we got it pretty good here. I've sort of heard there's been a bit
Yeah.
of a switch. What's that all about?
Yeah, dude, the young. I mean, I'm not gonna say it's all the young kids, but like really, it's there. You can see it. It's happening. More cases
Wow.
are coming around, and it is a shame. I think honestly, like it was semi to be expected with the opening of everything. Like all of a sudden, we went from like just like lockdown to then like everybody's like allowed to poke their heads out to then like I remember one day like it was shortly after you left like I was walking up Main Street, and like I hadn't been like walking up like super like, you know, the main streets like all that much, like always side streets. And then I just started to notice like so many people in patios, and like literally it was only like 10 people on a patio, but I was
Yeah.
like, damn. And then and like, you know, it started to build, and like I think like this was inevitable. Like, you know, I try to keep myself just like to my small bubble and whatnot. Like I'm a pretty good COVID dad. Like I'm pretty on it. I'm pretty strict with myself,
Yeah.
and I think like, you know, like it's happening. You know, we're gonna see what happens throughout like the fall and winter season. And yeah, I know, you know, like I still trust Dr. Bonnie Henry. You know, she's my girl. I'm
Oh
really
yeah.
stoked on like everything that's happening there. And you know, I think like the rest of like Canada's still doing pretty good, which is awesome. We haven't had many deaths here, and I think that's been the biggest thing so far, is that like kind of like riding out this like, yes, people are, you know, contacting the virus, and like, you know, like there are some people who are contagious and whatnot, but the death toll has gone down a lot. And I think like that's still like for the, I guess, the reason why things are
Yeah.
okay-ish.
Man, who would have known Dr. Bonnie Henry? Like, she's become
Mm.
like such an icon.
Dude, totally, man. No, I love it. You like walk down the street, you see like murals of her and stuff like that. There's like memes going on all over the place. Yeah, but I mean, like she did a good job, and she's still doing a good job. So
Yeah.
like, yeah, big ups. Like that's who we should be putting our focuses on, like the people who are handling the situation and
Yeah.
controlling the
She kept her
situation well.
cool. She kept us
Oh yeah,
cool.
totally, man. And she looked stylish while doing it too, so that was really tight, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah, I like it.
rocking those bangs.
Yeah, rocking those bangs, the flu blogs and stuff like that. She got a sponsorship through it. See, all you gotta do is just rock the things and you're
Yeah.
okay. So Budweiser's coming your way, man.
Sponsored by First Choice Haircuts. Oh man. So hey, when I was surfing in Tofino last like couple months
Yep,
ago, I remember
yep,
when I was getting on the ferry, they asked me the question,
yep.
are you a resident? And now I didn't know if that question was asking me, am I a resident of BC or am I a resident of the island? And so I said, I went with, yes, I'm a resident, because I was afraid of what would happen if I said I
Sure.
wasn't. But,
Yeah, sure.
you know, as much as they were given the green light to go to Vancouver Island, I didn't feel it when I went on that ferry. I still felt the caution in the wind.
Yeah, we still got the caution to win, like masks are mandatory. You got to stay in your cars like this time around, which wasn't a thing. Oh, sorry, I got some notifications coming through. Busy guy.
No problem.
But I you know, like there still is that caution out there. And they're not asking like, are you residency, but like, do you feel like, have you had symptoms before, like, you know, like this and that and whatnot. So I mean, like people still got to go to the island, you know, like things still got to move on technically. And yeah, like it's you feel it, you know, there's caution out in the wind, but like there's kind of like this like mandatory like guidelines that you have to
Yeah.
follow. And like luckily, like I noticed that the general populace has been pretty good with this stuff, and especially considering looking at like cases on the island, there's been very few, which is good. It's all here like in like the downtown Vancouver scene and stuff like
Oh,
that.
okay.
So I think like that's all good, you know, like it's been good and things are okay and people are still doing okay.
Yeah, man, the island,
Fingers crossed.
they'll get pissed if you,
Oh
you
yeah.
know, the mainlanders
Yeah.
start bringing it over.
Yeah, 100%. And it's also like, I think too, it's just like, you know, what the resources that they have and stuff like that too. That's why there's
Absolutely,
like
yeah.
concern. Like you gotta pay attention to that. And like, once again, this is going back to the conversation. This is why I'm not surfing that much. And like in September or like in later on, like when the fall swell starts to hit and the winter swell starts to come in, you know, if there's still like serious guidelines, like I'm going to follow those serious
Yeah,
guidelines, you know, respect to the community.
right on, man. The responsible surfer.
Yeah, you gotta be, man. Gotta be.
So, hey, has COVID, you know, influenced your designs at all?
Yeah, man, 100%, dude. Like this was like one of the first times where I just like took a chance on myself and was like, screw it, I'm just gonna make a bunch of styles of boards. Like I already had like the quiver like idea down, but then I was like, okay, how do I want to show myself in like really cool, funky, flary ways? And like that's actually been really good. So like honestly, like that whole March to July sequence there allowed me to like put my you know, put my style out, and I think a lot of people dug that, and like I've seen a little bit of popularity since then because of it. So yeah, pretty stoked.
Right on. Yeah,
Permastoked.
right on your Permastoked. Hey, I just came up
There you
with an
go.
idea. Not sure if it's $1 million idea or it could be a
Go.
toony idea.
Hit
What
me, girl.
about a COVID safe board? You put magnets in the rails, and then in other boards, you put, you know, the repelling side of the magnet. To the
If you
strength
want to
of
do that,
6 feet.
6 feet. Yeah, totally. Like if you want to design the weight characteristics, okay. If you got the time for that, but ain't no way I'm hand shaping something like that. That's
Yeah,
for sure. But that's
okay.
funny though. I like that though. Like that'll also prevent the drop in. You know, like some dude will try to drop you in, and then you could just bump them off the wave and stuff. That'd be
Yeah,
pretty good.
absolutely. Yeah. It's
You
like
wouldn't have to
those
do like the hey, you know, yeah,
it's like those dog collars, you know, that you don't see
the
the
shock collar.
perimeter. Yeah, the shock collar, kind of like that starts to give them a
Mhm.
warning. And
Yeah.
yeah, maybe it should shock them as well. That'd be cool.
Uh,
Dude,
crazy ideas, crazy ideas.
so I'm talking to Alex Rosin here in case the people don't know, but you don't use that Alex. You go by Rosin.
Yeah. I mean, like, I like it when my mom calls me Alexander and stuff, and like my siblings call me like Al or Alex. But like that was the thing, like back in the day, like I mean, like when I was growing up, I was surrounded by Alexes like all over the place. Like you couldn't go in a room and someone would be like Alex, and like four dudes would just be like, and like three girls would be like, what? And then like, you know,
Yeah,
all of a
that's
sudden,
true.
my close friends started to call me Al. And like at that point in time, I was like, whoa, line crossed. Like I was like
Yeah,
probably like 8 or 9, and like everybody was calling me Al, and like the only Al I knew was like Al Bundy, like you know, like the TV like character and stuff. And I was like,
yeah,
hell no, this is not my thing. And then I just got lucky too that like because I grew up with so many Alexes, like all my teachers, like from like grade 1 to grade 6 would just like refer to me as Rosen like a lot of times. And so
nice.
like just like when I was a kid, like that stuck. Like, you know, like kids were throwing out like last names like nobody's business. And like I still have friends like that, like, you know, they have a way cooler first name, but we still use their last name just because that was like the thing. But yeah, I throw it out a lot into introductions, and like when I like meet someone, I just don't use Alex that much, you know?
It
Like
kind of
I kind of
works
grew
as
up
if
as a
it
Rosen.
could be a first name, you know, like
Yeah, you
equally
know?
creative
Yeah.
parents. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I gotta
I like
admit,
it.
when you said Al and then you referenced Al Bundy, I was at
Yeah.
the same time I was thinking about Al Borland from
Sure. Yeah. Okay,
Showtime,
cool.
Home
Yeah.
Improvement. Yeah, and I'm thinking,
Yeah,
man,
yeah, yeah, for sure.
you do not look like an Al. You have no
Mm-mm.
Al vibes at all.
Mm-mm. I don't know. He was a pretty cheery guy. He was like pretty klutzy, but like he was a super cheery guy. But yeah, I got no Al vibes, you know? Like I never had that. Like Al, if I was Al, I would have lived like, you know, like I don't know, like I would have lived a different life, you know. I would have had a different background, a different past, but no.
Yeah,
No, I'm
man.
a Rosen. I feel like a Rosen. I act like a Rosen. I like Rosen. That's good.
So, you know, did the kids make fun of you somehow, like Rose and Raisin, or, you know,
Yeah, though, so that's it actually means raisin in like, so like I'm Estonian and it means raisin in like that dialect. So, I mean, like I told
oh,
kids
really?
that, and like
Cool.
some kids are like, oh, raisin. And like even like my brother-in-law, like sometimes like calls me like raisin the dead because like he thinks it's hilarious. But like I don't mind. Like I think it's funny. Like
That's
I take
actually
it. No,
pretty cool. Yeah.
yeah, I mean like a lot of my like really good friends and like my partner, like most people call me Rose or Rosie all the time too, and for some reason why I still like I just identify with it. Like I like
Ah,
it a lot. Like, you know, like when someone's like, "Yo, Rose," I'm like, "Oh, hey, that's me. I like that." Like, you
yeah,
know,
those are
so
cool
yeah.
options. I like Rose. That's
Yeah,
way
they're
better
good,
than
you know?
Al.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was the only time like I ever got called out on it was when I was in Australia. And someone's like, "Rose, but that's a girl's name." And I was like, "Oh, who cares, man? It's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it,
Oh,
you know?"
well. Hey,
Yeah. Exactly.
rocking a pink board and
Yeah, hell yeah,
rocking
girl.
Rose. Who
Yeah.
cares? Hey, it's
Yeah. That's what
2021,
I'm all
people.
about. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I had a
100%.
really cool teacher. His name was Joe Rosen. I think he was my favorite
Oh,
college professor. But
hey,
his
cool.
last name was spelt with an E, Rosen. And I'm pretty sure
Mm-hmm,
that's a
mm-hmm.
pretty popular Jewish last name, is it not?
That is, yeah, definitely. When I grew up in Toronto, I met a lot of other Rosins, but they were all E, because like in kind of like north of where I lived, like up in Forest Hill, there was like a lot of like the Jewish community was pretty big there. So yeah, I met a bunch of Rosenbergs, all that stuff. So
Oh, okay.
yeah,
But your
there was
Rosin
other
is
ones, but
different. Your
yeah, I'm an
Rosin,
I, baby. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yours
yeah.
is
Like
a
it's like
Estonian heritage. Wow. Okay.
Estonian heritage.
Cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. I feel like that almost sounds made up, Estonia. It reminds me of the movie Encino Man. I feel like
Oh yeah.
he was supposed to be from Estonia, actually.
Yo, Estonia is like
He's from
Estonia is
Estonia.
yeah, no, Estonia's got a pretty crazy little history and stuff. Like like don't quote me on it or anything, but like, like they're going through like a lot of really cool things right now. Like they're like kind of like some of the leading people on Bitcoin and like cryptocurrencies and stuff like that right now. I mean, I don't really know
Wow,
anything else
yeah,
about
I have
Estonia.
no idea
Yeah,
what
I'm
you're
gonna go
talking
back. I'm
about.
gonna go. Yeah, yeah, yeah. There you go. There you go.
Yeah. Oh, cool,
But it's
man.
it's a great place. It's a great place. Yeah.
Right on, right on. So, hey, you're in Vancouver, but you mentioned Toronto. So, I mean, how did you grow
Yep.
up, man?
How did I grow up? Man.
Yeah.
So I'm from like Toronto proper. My parents had me when they were pretty young. I'm the oldest of four. I got into a lot of really cool things when I was young, and my mom was really, actually both my parents are really into the arts a lot. So I was raised as a trained dancer until I was like in
Wow.
my early 20s and stuff. So I started like my first career ever as like a professional dancer slash dance teacher, and I was classically trained in like ballet and contemporary. And then like
Oh,
I
wow.
did a whole bunch of other stuff.
We're talking like, fancy rich people stuff, not
Oh
like
yeah, yeah,
hip
yeah,
hop
totally,
and
man. Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, I was
beatbox.
in the hip hop stuff, but like, yeah, no, it was when I was a kid, it was like the classically stuff was like, I don't know, like that was like really big, like especially like as a boy. Well, like the first class I ever took was tap dancing because like that's what I wanted to do.
Oh, nice.
My mom took me to a lot of shows when I was young, like and my siblings as well. Like that was like one of her big pastimes was like theater performance and whatnot. So she took us to a show, and I think like I was probably like 6 years old, and I was like, I want to tap dance. And it was like my mom was like, your life is like sealed, like your fate has been sealed, you will forever be a dancer now. And so she kind of like pushed me on that route. But like, like the cool thing, like, like dance classes, like especially for like, a kid at my age, and like my parents, like dance classes are expensive as all hell, and like it was really difficult for my parents to support that. But luckily I caught on pretty quick that like
Mm,
the schools that I went to were like, oh man, we need more boy dancers. So like
okay.
if we could like put him into like our school company, and then he could take a bunch of classes for free, and like, like, and my mom would be like, yeah, just take my boy. Like it's like I
Nice.
have too many freaking kids right now. Like I need
Yeah.
someone to take care of someone. So like that preoccupied a lot of my time, and I wasn't really academically all there when I was a child. Like, I had
Okay.
some learning disabilities and stuff. And so the dancing route just kept on going, and I went to high school for it. And like,
Nice.
yeah,
So did you
yeah.
go to
So yeah.
those like art schools in Toronto?
Yeah, yeah. I went to one called the Tobico School of the Arts. It's
Okay.
pretty great place, man. Yeah, I got to like really like learn how to like, like express myself artistically and creatively there and stuff. Really cool establishment. Like met a lot of amazing, cool people that like still have really great careers in the art too, which is sweet. And like that's like kind of like where all my surfing field came up too and stuff like that. Like a lot of that like dancing and the movement and like that vibe, like it led to like a martial arts career for a while, and that then led into surfing. And the whole idea behind like movement has always been my thing. Like I
Mm,
really like adapting to situations creatively, like feeling like these awesome like processes of movement. And then like when I started to like find like the wave, which is like this like untamable amazing force of like nature and stuff
yeah.
like that, and then
Dancing
like
with the
how you could
ocean.
take yeah, and then how you can take a surfboard and then like take your body and react to it in such a different way to be able to move in such different ways. Then I was like, oh damn, like this is where it's all coming together. And
Yeah,
that's
and
like
when
I
you
feel
do
like
the cross step on a longboard, it's kind of like line dancing.
yeah, yeah, totally, man. And like so that's also a thing too. Like it's all this dancing stuff and whatnot, like going back to all that stuff, has actually helped me so much with my surfing, because you pay attention to techniques, right? Like, and so like a lot of people will be like, okay, cross stepping, like clearly I have to like step across my body. And it's like, no, man, like when you're longboarding, you should already have like more of a parallel stance, you know, like you shouldn't be like kind of like ducked feet like a snowboard, or like kind of like a skateboard where you like your shoulders are kind of like, you know, like just like, what is that, like I guess like just like the different axis of like where the board is, like you want to be like turning your body forward, and when you cross step, it's more like actually walking than like fully cross stepping, you know. Like it's, and so like that, like all that movement stuff helped me a lot more with surfing, where I was like, oh, I can actually pick these up a little bit easier rather than like fumbling and slipping on waves. I mean, I'm still like not an amazing surfer or anything, but like, you know, like it's helped me, it's helped a lot of this, like guide me through all the surfing techniques and stuff.
When I see pictures of you on a longboard, you kind of have that like wingnut weaver look. Like you're kind of standing tall and kind of
Yeah.
bent back
Yeah.
like a hood ornament a little bit, rather than
Yeah.
crouched
Crouch forward.
down real low.
Yeah, I'm like working on like more of like a power stance, but like yeah, on like all that, I like to log a lot more. Like that's like my thing, like longboarding and mid lengths and stuff. And like, you know, I'm a pretty tall dude. Like I'm 6'4". I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm basically all limbs, you know, and stuff. So it's like for me, that's kind of like how I've been able to like accent my surfing, is by using my height and then using my like my flexibility to help bend. But like, yeah, a lot more lately now too. A lot of my surfing's like focusing on staying a lot lower, like trying to use my flexibility and like keep like low, so I can keep like my drive going a little bit more forward, and I can also like, you know, like just trim and plane a little bit different and stuff too, like
Cool.
beat sections if I have to. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like that. I like that like tall, like storky stance basically.
Yeah.
It can look pretty dorky and pretty bad sometimes. Like I got photo proof of it, but like
Yeah.
it can also look really good in a lot of moments as
No,
well.
I
So,
like it. I think I like it because I can identify with it. Like, you know, it's hard to
yeah.
get low. I'm 6'4" too, so I like that.
Exactly. Yeah. And like, you know, it's not easy like to even like learn that like flexibility at the time while you're like moving on a board too. So like, you know, all that practice like over the years has really helped me now. So like now I'm a lot more low, a lot more flat-footed when I'm low too and stuff. Yeah. It's important. Yeah, you got to get both, man. You got to get both. You got to look, you got to feel good standing up. You got to feel good standing low and stuff, and staying low is what I meant to say.
Yep, gotta be well rounded. So hey, going back to the dance stuff, what was your first kind of jobs back through dancing? I mean, were you up there with Britney Spears and the Tigers, or what?
Nah, yeah, I wish Britney the Tigers next. No, like you know, like so when I started dancing, it was like with companies and stuff. So like with a company, you basically get like a small salary and stuff like that. You like rehearse, practice, and perform, and like those companies will like take you to different places. They'll get different grants to be able to put on different shows to showcase stuff. So that was one of the first, like just out of high school. And I also got a job performing at like a hotel in Mexico, like one of those all-inclusive hotels. That was like, it was a nightmare situation. Like I was 18 years old, didn't know what I was getting into. Like I was like, yeah, I'm a professional dancer. This is what we do. And they're like, sick. We are all about jazz and tight ass spandex and like hella face paint. And I was like, no, oh no. But anyways, that was a good job. And then kind of when I was 19 years old, I started to like take like teaching programs, and I always used to teach at summer camps. Like that was also another way for me to like pay a lot of like for my dance classes and stuff like that, is like my dance schools would have summer programs, and I would be like, you know, like a teacher or like a counselor and stuff there. And that kind of got me into teaching. And then I just really liked it, you know, like I think that was like one of my favorite parts, was like being able to like create syllabus, like kind of like work from kids that were like pretty young to like adults my age and older and stuff, like teaching them how to dance. And then like also doing like a lot more choreography based, because a lot of the time when I was performing, I'd have to follow someone else's creative style and like kind of like their interpretation of what they wanted to do with dance. And I always felt like I was less of a performer, especially in like my 20s. I was less of a performer and more of like a behind the scenes type of person, like creating or like creating, curating pieces, like all this other stuff too. So I like that. And so those were some of my like early dance jobs. And then I kind of switched over afterwards to martial arts, kind of like when I was like 24 to like 28. Like those are like my martial arts days.
So how did you transition to martial arts?
Yeah, it was all teaching, to be honest with you. It was just it was like I've been studying martial arts like for a really long time, like ever since I was like in high school. It just kind of went really well with dance, and me and
Now,
my
are we
siblings
talking
have had
about Eastern martial arts or Western martial arts?
both, yeah, both,
Oh,
because you and I both have the similarity of the Western martial arts, which is
yeah,
or and like yeah, so like all that stuff. But
because I
like
knew
yeah,
you were
no,
into
I
the swordplay stuff. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That was some of the best times of my life too in my martial arts career. Definitely highlights. But no, I was big in the Eastern. Like I grew up taking Taekwondo and karate. I practiced like forms of kung fu, but not like fully formally. Like I wanted to go to school for it actually. Like I back when I was like, university is all about like opportunity. So I'm gonna go spend a bunch of money and get like a degree in kung fu. And my parents were like, nah, like
Yeah.
not a chance. They're like, you're already a broke ass dancer. You don't need to go
Wow. Yeah.
figure out kung fu, and like that's not gonna lead you anywhere. But yeah, no, I karate, and I got to teach like taekwondo a lot here in Vancouver for a couple of years. And I took like this other really cool style called Taijutsu, which is like this Japanese like Bujinkan ninjutsu style. Like it's like the art of the ninja, but like it's got this like really awesome like kind of like mix between like judo and other things involved in it too, and aikido and stuff. It's really cool, and yeah. Yeah, and then yeah, both you and I we did some Western European swordplay, man. Like, and that I was always obsessed with. Like I've always
Yeah.
been a hella Renaissance man when I was a kid. Like I like would watch like movies like The Princess Bride and The Count of Monte Cristo and all these things, and I'd be like, this is what I want, and like
Yeah.
Highlander and stuff like that. And then I found that school, and like yeah, because I'd already been teaching martial arts in kids programs, I got a job there. And that was great. Sorry, man.
At
I don't.
Academy Duello.
Yeah, man. Academy Duello. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're having a tough time in COVID, but they're still going strong because they got a really great community. So good for
Oh,
those
that's
guys.
cool. Yeah, I
Yeah.
always did notice that. Now, when it comes to Western martial arts, I really enjoyed learning longsword. I think
Yeah.
that's where it's at for me, being a big guy. I love swinging the big longsword around.
Oh yeah.
But that rapier stuff, man, I mean, that is that's an advanced form of fighting. Like there's a lot
Yeah,
to
man.
that. And I'm just thinking
Yeah.
about, I forget what that's called, but when you're doing the parry or whatever it is, and
Yeah.
you put the sword out far and you're contorting yourself
Yeah.
so far
Yeah.
in to avoid the
Yeah.
blade, your opponent's blade poking you.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah.
can see how that definitely ties into surf maneuvers.
Yeah, oh yeah, 100% actually. Like I really wanted to make like a surfboard with an old illustrated like a rapier like kind of like design with it and
Yeah.
stuff. Like kind of like we got these manuscripts when we were at like Academy Duello. You could buy them and they all had like the techniques and form from like 16th century like Italian like fencing masters and stuff.
Yeah.
And they all have those styles and like these really cool like contorted twists and stuff to them that I just thought would look so good on a surfboard. But then also like you use those weird contorted twists and body movements while surfing as well. It's kind of yeah, it's really neat. I see how you can compare those things
Yeah,
too.
that
Yeah,
would make a sweet board.
I loved all the forms there. Like to be honest, like I was big into like the longsword stuff because it was good. Like I wasn't more like hack and slash, but more like just like the flow of the longsword that you
Yeah.
can get with it too. And I like for me like the rapier was like so technically like such like a chess match that you're working in like such like small like with such long blades but like in like such a small fighting area and stuff, and like it's all about taking advantage and then like working against like counteracts and stuff, like counteracting like someone's like timing to like hit you and stuff. I don't know, it was so cool. Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
that's still good stuff. Like I still practice that stuff all the time, man. It's all like a part of my workout regime and stuff. And you hooked me up with that sword too. Thank you very much. I've been swinging that around in the back
Oh, you
alleyway.
liking
Yeah.
that, eh?
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
man, it's so good, man. Great weight, great feel. I loved it. Yeah,
Right on.
awesome.
Glad you love it. Yeah.
I love how we're on like a surf podcast, but we're talking about sword fighting. Like,
Oh yeah, I always get to the
yeah.
surf, but I like to explore the before part. Hey, what was that
That's good.
weapon called that Donatello from Ninja Turtles used? I forget. You know that big stick
Donatello just used the staff. Donatello just used the staff, but then
staff.
you can call it as a staff, or like it's a boken in Japanese like
Okay,
terminology, which is like it's a bit smaller. Like you can tell like Donatello doesn't have like a staff that's like 10 feet tall, which would generally be like a pole staff, basically,
okay,
like Western European style, but like a boken or like a martial arts staff is generally a little bit smaller. And then if it's
okay.
any longer, it'll generally have a spearhead on it for like Eastern martial arts and
Because
stuff.
the kind that we used at Academy Duello, it's like the kind, if you've ever seen the old Kevin Costner Robin Hood movie, there's a scene with
Yeah,
them fighting, you know, in the rapids or whatever. I think Little
yeah,
John
totally.
and
Yeah, those are yeah, that would be the quarter staff where like
yeah,
it's
okay,
like you either you so there's long staff where you hold it with two hands but at the end like the base of the staff and like it's a longer swinging wrapping movements and then a quarter staff is where you hold it basically like in the halfway zone and you use both ends to strike and attack and like it's good to like manipulate and maneuver in both styles while fighting and whatnot or like while practicing but yeah, they're two different techniques for sure. And it's yeah,
right on.
one they're still generally the same height ish, but like one can be much longer. When you're using the long staff, like you're going for like distance and like they're generally like they would train it so that you would have pole arms at the end of it. So you could like
Nice.
lead like a lot of guards would use it or like anyone over like a shield wall would use it to like hack and slash at people
Yeah,
who come through. Or dealing
yeah,
with cavalry too and stuff. Yeah.
right on. Of course, you got to
Mm-hmm.
be ready for the cavalry.
There you
That's
always
what
gotta be
I
ready for
always
the
tell
cavalry.
everybody. Be ready for the cavalry. You never know when the cavalry's going to
Mm-hmm,
show up.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So you're in Toronto, you're teaching dance. So what brought you
Yep.
to Vancouver?
Well, technically, it was after traveling for a year, like in Mexico and stuff. I just came back to Toronto, and like I really like Toronto. Like I love the culture and the vibe, and my family was there and stuff. But I don't know. Like I kind of needed something a little bit different. I
Yeah.
really like I fell in love with the ocean for one first and foremost when I was in Mexico, like for that full year, like I was just like, I don't see how I could live without the ocean. Even at that time, I wasn't even surfing. I was just there the whole entire time, you know,
Yeah.
like it was on a beach. I just was in the water. I just like, you know, it's kind of like it's always been my vibe. And yeah, like I just had the opportunity to go teach in Vancouver. And I had one other friend of mine who is going out to UBC as an engineer physicist. And like, I think like I was also at like my young age of like 19 with like family stuff going on, my life going on. You know, I didn't necessarily have the greatest time finishing high school. In fact, I dropped
Mm,
out of high school and then went to Mexico at like a pretty young age. Like I was just turned 18 and then went to Mexico to be like a dancer. Didn't expect it to be what it was, which was like it was very difficult. It was like a huge learning curve and adjustment because you know, I went from being like a pretty bratty kid to then being like, you're a professional now. And I was like, fuck, I got to act like a professional.
yeah.
And like, and then when I came back, I just got to Toronto and I had this different vibe about me. A lot of my friends were like, you know, either going to university to go to like Montreal and places. And I was like, I'd love to go to Montreal. I'd like to stay in Toronto, but like, there's got to be some other opportunities. And then when like I was young too, we always used to talk about Vancouver, like ocean, mountains, like forests, like all this stuff, like
Yeah.
different, like even honestly, the thought of not like minus freaking 30 weather was also a big impact on it
Yeah.
too. So I was just like, man, why not go out west? It's only like, you know, I had the contract for a year to teach and to learn how to teach like ballet and all these other things. And I was like, it's only a year, like whatever. I kind of have this like fun, like traveling feel about me right now, like
Yeah.
let's go get into it. And that's what brought me out here. And yeah, I didn't expect to stay so long, but like
Yeah.
I almost fell in love like right away. Like
Yeah.
I got to the city and I was just like, damn, this is so cool. Like
Yeah.
yeah, and it's changed a lot too over the years. Like when I first came here, it was like a lot more about like the nature and like I did like the city vibe and stuff, but like coming from like the culture Toronto to then like the 2006 like kind of The 2006 Vancouver, I wasn't super into it that much at that time. But then it's grown so much more even on that. And there's so many opportunities out here, you know. That's another thing why I stayed too. Yeah. That's what brought me out here. It was 100%. It was the ocean. You know, like I was just like, I need some ocean vibes. Sorry, my phone did something weird.
No problem.
But I was like, I need some ocean vibes. I need this like lifestyle. Like that's what I want. So
you felt the call of the West Coast, man. I've been there. Yeah, like as Canadians, you know, like the whole American thing, they got Route 66 to California, you know, like that's, it's similar, I think, you know, we got our Trans-Canada to Vancouver,
highway,
ultimate freedom.
Man. Yeah, totally.
Except when I
in my case, it was like a WestJet.
Yeah, yeah. But when I got to Vancouver, then I'm like, oh shit, there's a giant island blocking all the surf.
Yeah.
So that was gotta go a little bit further still, but
definitely. Like I remember you telling me that you came here for the surf. I came here for snowboarding originally, and like that was like something that I was like, it was a part of the reason why I moved here. And then another part of the reason was just like the nature aspect of it all. Like I was like, yeah, I want to see the mountains and the ocean like every day. But it was snowboarding. But then like, I mean, like surfing just like fell into place, like literally like 2 years after.
So when did surfing come along? How did that happen?
For me, honestly, I always knew I wanted to surf. Like I always knew that like that was something I wanted to do. Like even when I was young, my family like was really like privileged to be able to drive down to Florida, where like my grandmother stayed in like this like sweet trailer park with like all the things you could ever want as a young kid. But like she lived right by a surf beach, and like I just see surfers. I'd see like my parents would let me bodyboard, but they would never let me go surfing and stuff. And like there was no schools at the time to like be able to like teach me how to like go surf. So I always knew that I wanted to surf. And then just like it came to a point in time where like summer trips would happen, and like Oregon was always the spot to go to. And then like I think it was like 2000 and when did I get here? I got here in 2005 or 6, and then like somewhere in like 2007 I just started to go to Oregon like every summer for like a month. Like you'd rent a board, you just go hit the water, like get smashed around a bunch. But like it just started to get so much more of like a thing that like I thought about all the time, and I was like, I just want to be a better surfer. I just want to get in the water all the time. And it just became the
kind of came everything. Where were you going in Oregon? Was that in Cannon Beach or?
Yeah, we were going to Cannon Beach. We were going to Short Sands. We were going even like over just like to oh no, where's the place that the Goonies are filmed in? It's like the first town you get right over Washington. My brain's just kind of farting right now.
Like, are you talking in Washington, like Westport?
No. It's like when you get over the Washington border into Oregon, there's that first town right there. And it's like the town famously where the Goonies were shot. And like, there's a couple of beaches down towards there too. And like Seaside is like there as well. It'll come to me. I'm going to like blurt it out halfway through this podcast.
Yeah, well, now you got me wondering.
It's not Astoria, I don't think. It's you got the Google. Nice.
Astoria.
Let the people know we do it is Astoria. Damn it. Okay, I knew it. But anyways,
I remember that town now,
Yeah. So there's that town, and like there's a couple of like just like all right beaches there and stuff like that too. So a lot of great little surfing. You know, I didn't know terribly too much about surfing at that time, so I was just looking anywhere where there was like waves and like people being like, it's okay for you to surf here. You know, like your current's not going to take you out or anything. So. And
I mean, you're going down to Oregon. At that point, had you had any awareness of Sombrio or Tofino?
I knew about Sombrio, or I knew about Tofino like the moment that I got here in Vancouver. And to like the west coast of Canada, it was just like it just seemed like it was like just a much further trek, you know. And like I remember too, like I never went in the time where like the highways weren't really necessarily like fully built. There was still gravel road and stuff, but I just knew it as a small, sleepy town when I first came here. So I didn't actually go out to Tofino until 2010. So like 4 years I'd been out here, but I'd already been surfing in Oregon like multiple times since then too. But it was just like, I don't know, for me, it was a thing where like Canada didn't have enough of a surf environment from my knowledge at the time,
Yeah.
that I actually only thought that Oregon, California were the places to go nearest to me to like see surf culture, be a part of surf culture, and like find those good surf beaches. Cause like I also didn't know anything about like forecasting and like how to like predict or like, you know, like understand the swell and stuff like that. So I was like, just go where the surfers are. And for me, it was like in Oregon and Cannon Beach, or like
Yeah.
in like Northern California and stuff like that. Yeah.
But you must have been super stoked when you found Tofino, because you're mentioning,
Yeah.
you wanted to be in that sort of great Canadian wilderness, mountains and trees. I mean, come on. You got mountains, trees, and the ocean and surfing.
Yeah.
Like, Tofino is the
Yeah, definitely.
perfect combo.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. And it's still like every time that I go out there too, I'm just always like amazed by it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I'm always just like, this place is like, it's not even like, it's like sometimes you feel like you just stepped onto another planet and you're about to see like two suns, because it's just like that like perfect picturesque place that's just like so out of this world, like fabulous all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
Right on, man. So, yeah, I don't want to get too wishy-washy about Tofino because I could start crying. But, I was out in Kincardine a couple weeks ago, and
Yeah,
I am impressed to be back on the Great Lakes. Like, I was surfing
yeah,
in Kincardine, the legendary Kincardine I've been hearing about on the internet for years. Man, the waves were huge. Like, they were huge even in ocean standards the day I was there.
yeah. Right. Really? That's awesome. Good
They
for
were,
you,
yeah,
man.
man.
That's
They
awesome.
were reported at 10 feet tall. I just remember, looking
What?
at yeah, and I remember looking, when the wave really dips down. I mean,
Yeah.
it was just gorgeous. Like, it looked like
Mm-hmm.
rolling mountains coming in. And I think maybe what made it look even more spectacular is there's basically no wave period. I mean, it was just getting bashed wave after wave, right? There was no
Yeah.
real time in between. So it was also humbling, like, getting used to that again, getting,
Yeah, that sounds like my worst nightmare, man. Like just being like, yeah, there's so much good swell, and then you're like, oh my God, where am I? Like, what am I even predicting at this point in time in the water? But I
yeah,
can see how that's like, I feel like once when you get used to that, then like it's like you're on it. Like, kudos to all you lake surfers. Like, I'm gonna get out there one day. Like, I'm coming out to you. We're gonna go. We'll have a good lake freshwater session, stuff like that. It'll be tight. But like, yeah, like, man, like, like surfing's already hard as is. So
yeah,
then to
really.
just like drop the predictability of what's going on with the waves slash also like galing winds, it's like, and slash like hella cold water too. It's like, damn. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, it's awesome. That's,
yeah,
yeah, that's like, it's so awesome, man. It's so awesome. It's so crazy to hear that people like can have that, like
oh yeah,
there was no, I'm from Toronto. There was no lake surfing, or if there was, it was like the hugest secret, because like I would see waves coming off a lake, but I would never think that I could surf those, or that I
yeah,
should surf those. And I've seen great spots, like, when I was a kid, like I remember like going out, like kind of like to like kind of like Lake Ontario, and just like seeing stuff, like even like as a kid going to the beach, like, like when like the beaches were like okay and
yeah,
stuff like that to swim in, they'd still be like body surfing. It'd bring me back to like times in Florida where I'd be like boogie boarding and body surfing and stuff, and I'd be like, same man, but like I just never thought I could surf there. And like it wasn't until like 2014 when I just like come back from like traveling in Australia, and I finally saw my mom, and my mom was like, oh yeah, you were like surfing all that time in Australia. There was like a bunch of kids surfing in Lake Ontario, like just like in Hamilton, like, and like they showed me pictures, and like I'm pretty sure it was all the Surf the Great guys, like Antonio and like that crew and stuff,
yeah.
and like they were actually scoring waves, and I was like, get out of town. Like I was like, no way that's actually happening. And I thought that was so cool, like that was really neat.
Yeah. So were you familiar with the Cove before? Had you been there?
No, man, like I didn't know anything. Well, like
Oh,
I said,
okay.
like it wasn't until like 2013, like 14, when like I'd come back after like traveling. Like at that point in time, I was like really traveling for surfing, like all the time, like destination surfing and stuff. And yeah, my mom was just like, it's so crazy that you were just there, because like who would have thunk that in Toronto, like there's surfing? And I was just like
Nice,
mind
nice.
blown. Yeah.
So you got super stoked. You're a big surfer dude now. You did the U.S. Now you're doing Tofino. how'd the shaping come about, man? How did you transition from, I'm just a guy who likes to go surfing, to, hey, I want to be a mechanic of, yeah, I want to be a physicist for the boards we ride on.
Yeah, man, like to be honest with you, I never really saw myself in like any sort of shaping slash like kind of that type of creative thing. Like I always thought that I was more bound to be like a surfer and to put all my energy into surfing and like being able to like, just go out there and surf all the time. But no, it's just so happened that as my like surfing got better, I started to transition more into like mid-length boards and longer boards and stuff. And it was really hard back in like 2013 to be able to find like that kind of like that same board that I had been previously surfing in Australia, kind of like that like mini mal almost like style of board that we made together.
Yeah.
And yeah, the closest one honestly was in Oregon, obviously, like in like like in one of like the surf shops there and stuff. And I was just like, I can't believe that I'd have to go all the way down to Oregon to be able to find a board. And then one of my best buddies, and like he's kind of like my surfer, guy, like the guy that I always go out surfing with. He was like, man, like there's literally like a US like fiberglass supply shop like right south of the border of BC. It's like a hop, skip, and a jump over there. We should go make some boards. And he was always really crafty, and he was a carpenter for a while. Like, like he's been using his hands, like building stuff. Like I was like an artsy guy. So I was like, I don't think I understand or comprehend enough to be able to do this. But then it was like, dude, like this was also in the time, like, 2013 too, when like the information age was really starting to happen. Like YouTube, like videos were like really coming out at this point in time. Like you can find a tutorial on anything.
Yeah.
And he was like, dude, let's just like look up some videos on surfing. He also like, I think like bought a book or like had a book, like, like about it and stuff. And like, I just kind of put my like a lot of thought perspective into it, and I was just like, holy, this is a neat idea. And like what an opportunity of a lifetime to be like, I am close enough to a distributor, like, or like like a supplier that could like get me the materials that I need. And then I also had a friend with a garage that was like, he was also like, I too want to make a surfboard. So like I think I like just happened upon two of my really good, most creative slash like kind of like driven friends at that time that were just like, let's start making like something and like let's see how it happens. And like it turned out way better than I thought it would, and like at that point in time too, I had like, I purchased all the materials. I spent like 2 months of like hard researching. We all kind of like created each like our own board of our own design. Like one of my friends replicated one of his favorite boards that was like, he thought he could make some tweaks to it. Another one of my friends just like had this, like, he's like an artist, so he had like this like full design wise to it, and he's like, I'm also going to replicate your board. And like I just like studied up this like mini mal, like this like McTavish shape for such a long time, and was just like, okay, this is what I'm going to try to make. And like somehow like managed to get the template, figure out like all like the little tricks of it and stuff. And like, I mean, it was a piece of garbage, but like it was my piece of garbage.
Yeah.
And it was so good, and like, to be honest with you, like I could like immediately tell what I did wrong, like almost right away, where I was just like, oh, I screwed up this and I did that. And then I did some more research and I found out that like the bottom contour that I made was actually like kind of ish like what you define like a hull shape, and then like it wasn't meant for more like radical surfing, it was meant for like really speed surfing. So I kind of used that mentality a lot more to surf that board, and it actually like super helped a lot. And then I was just like, like I could do this, and at that point in time I was also like tree planting a bunch, so like I would just like I'd be like, okay, what am I saving for? And I'd be like, clearly it was surfboards. So like it was just one of those things where I was like, let's do it. Like I'm gonna make a quiver. And like I was like taking some of my old boards that I'd made like the year previous. Like my first board, I called it the shrapnel because that's what it looked like. And I went from like a 7'6" like mini mal to then like I chopped it to like a 5 mini Simmons and like all these other weird things. And I just kept on adapting and creating until finally some of my friends were like, yo, like your boards are cool, like you want to make me a board? And I was like, yeah I do. And then it kind of just went from there. It's pretty
That's when
sweet.
you're like, I have made it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I definitely did not make it. Like, let's be honest with you, man. Those are some hard years, dude, where you're like battling between like, I have this will to do something, and wouldn't it be cool if I could do it for like, a career? And then being like, but I'm also kind of just like a big phony because I don't really know what I'm doing, slash, I'm not a very great surfer. And then like battling that with having like another part-time job while trying to make surfboards. It was a weird like 4-year
Yeah.
transition year. It really like taught me how to be an adult and like be like, okay, like you got to be patient. You can't have all the things that you want. Like if you're going to put time and money into it, make sure that like when you're doing it as right as possible. And like you make the mistakes and know that you made the mistakes,
Yeah.
but like you continue on. And like, sometimes you're not going to be able to do what you want to do. And sometimes you won't have the space or the resources for it. And you just got to stay calm, stay collective, and just like calculate. And I'm not much of a calculated man, but like at that point in time when I was like, if I'm going to achieve something, like I got to do it. I got to have this mentality for it.
Right on. So when did things start to click, man? When did you feel like, oh, I'm getting this now? Like I can do
Uh,
something with this.
Yeah, like it was honestly, it was the encouragement of my friend, like my buddy, was the big thing. And then here in Vancouver, there was this group called Shaper Studios that started up back in 2000, I think like 2013, same thing. And I had two good friends. Well, like I met them and they became my friends, and they were running this like Shaper Studio spot. And within like the first like half a year there, I had started building boards, and like people started to take notice a bit more of my shaping skills because I had already at that point in time made like 30 to something ish boards. So
So were
like I
you just
had
were you a student at this time at Shaper?
no, I was they had like a open door policy where like if you knew what you were doing, you could create your own boards like and become a member. And
Okay, so you
so
were
like
a member then. Okay.
yeah, I was a member. So I was shaping the boards, and then my buddy who I was talking about, he was glassing our boards and stuff. So we had become like this combo. And then eventually one of the partners left Shaper Studios. And then we were approached and we were like, hey, like we're looking for someone to buy into this. Like, it's a pretty cool brand. Like we have like the resources, the space and stuff. We're just looking for people who can help out and who could be teachers here. And like I qualified as like a shaping instructor because of like the X amount of boards that I had made, which like
Hmm.
I like, I wasn't stepping fully into the role of instructor at that time. Like I was still like, learning the craft myself. Like I had only, like I said, like had 30 to 50 boards at my hand. So like it leaves you qualified, but like, like we still had other people who were like a little bit more qualified for that.
Yeah.
And then just, yeah, as the years progressed, like I was asked to become a partner, and then I continued with that. And then I started to like manage the shop. And that's kind of like when it started to really click in, where I was like, it was still a part-time job slash like I kind of had like my entrepreneurial kind of like gig going on with like
Yeah.
this whole like with the Shaper Studios thing. And that's when I was like, oh, this is a potential like living that I could have. And then like like a lot of people just like saw what I was doing, and like they were like, yeah, like there's a future for you in this because you actually care so much, you put the time in the research, and like and I was involved with the community at that point in time. Like I'm like a pretty friendly guy, and I try to say what up all the time, and like I see what people are doing and I like it. I compliment, I comment, like I talk, I ask a lot of questions too. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of people dug it. And then that's when I was like, oh, there's a future here. So that was
Right
pretty
on,
cool.
man. Wow, paid off. So it seems like no matter what you're doing, you've always ended up in some kind of a leadership position, or an
Kind of, yeah.
instructor. Yeah.
Yeah.
It
I
doesn't
think so.
seem like you're much of a follower, You always end up doing your own thing, right? That's cool, man.
Yeah. I think, it's like a young age thing. I was a pretty independent kid, like, being the oldest of four to like really young parents. Like I kind of like, my parents obviously did like a good job, like, raising me and stuff, but I did, like, I was an independent a lot. A lot of my siblings are independents too. Like we all
Yeah.
left the house like pretty young, and we all kind of like had an idea of who we were and what we wanted to do and stuff. And yeah, I don't know. And I'm like, I like to be like out there, and, I think like a lot of like dancing also and performing helped me out a lot, where I
Yeah.
could like just not feel crowded or afraid to like show myself off and like whatnot. So yeah. I think that
Nice.
was a big thing for me.
Now,
Yeah.
I remember seeing Shaper, I wanted to take lessons at Shaper, but I swear by the
Yeah.
time that was about to happen, it closed down. But
Yeah.
I believe that I had seen on the Shaper website that Shaper was one of a few. Is that correct? Like there are
Yeah.
other
Yeah. Yeah.
Shaper locations?
Yeah, we were the first sister school of the San Diegan branch. So we basically, it was like a franchise, and we bought into it, and so
Okay.
so we were the secondary kind of thing, and then there was one in Chile, like Santiago, Chile, and then there's one in Montreal for a bit, and then there was one in Orange County for a bit, and yeah, they were the guys who like started Shaper Studios were like pretty smart and well like adapted to like just like being like, we have something here, like this like idea that we can teach people how to make surfboards, and like, it's not a kept secret, it's something that like should be shared. Like you're not going to become like the world's greatest shaper after one board, but it's like what an experience and what a thing to have, and the
No, but it's
community
a
and
great
culture that
concept. Like, come
yeah,
and
yeah,
have
and
a membership to drop in and shape, whenever you want. I mean, that is a
yeah, and
pretty
like
sick
and
promise.
take a lot of courses, and like especially here in Vancouver where surfing wasn't a big thing, like you can see it in places like San Diego. It's great because you have a lot of garage shapers that like it's hard to
Yeah,
shape in your garage. It's hard to have one bay for everything. So if you can find a place where you can access the tools, materials, have a little bit of guidance, and also a spot for you to be able to build and manufacture your own boards, it was really great. Like it's, there's a lot of cool concepts. It's almost like it's already a part of like the shaping and surfboard world, like there's glassing factories, there's like lots of bays, open bays in places like that where people rent the bays for their hours and they'll make their boards and stuff like that there. So the concept was there, and it was really cool for Vancouver just because like that's lessons for us really took off, because a lot of people love that experience here. Like everybody loves like that hands-on working with experience, to then be able to take it out into the wilderness and like, and into the ocean, and then actually like ride it and enjoy it and stuff. So
yeah,
I think like that really translated super well to like Vancouver, and that's why we had such like success here too in Vancouver at Shaper Studios. Like a lot of people liked having that hub, that hangout, that spot where like, there are so many surfers and like kind of those like adventure goers and whatnot out here, that like it was just a cool meetup place to then meet other like-minded individuals and be able to
yeah,
go surf these boards that you've been making and creating
for
together.
sure.
So yeah,
But
it's pretty cool.
but ultimately, unfortunately, Shaper kind of got tombstoned.
Yeah, but I think it was like, like all businesses and stuff like that, are all concepts and ideas. Like this was also all formulated by a bunch of like a young group of individuals too. Like
Okay.
everybody was in like their early 20s and stuff like that. And it was a big movement and it was a really big thing,
Yeah,
but like to sustain something like that was difficult. And then once when, like the San Diegan, like the mothership of it all was doing super duper well. And
yeah,
like like they had, even still to this day, like a few of like the major like founders there, like they're still in the surfboard world. They're still like pumping out cool things and doing cool things and stuff.
so does
But
Shaper exist
no,
elsewhere?
no longer. No, no
Okay,
longer. Yeah, yeah.
okay,
But that's like, it's like everybody just kind of went off to do their things. Like honestly, it was a place for a lot of us young like guys and girls to just understand entrepreneurship, to be able to understand how to like work with the community,
yeah,
and then having a space where the community could build and divide, like work with and stuff. And I think when like each shaper spot like started to go down, which like at that time it was inevitable, but that was okay. It was also like a lot of us were like transitioning into different careers or different paths,
yeah,
and it was like, it was more like, it was like a clubhouse, like that's like what Shaper Studios was. It was like a good idea of like a bunch of people just coming together and creating that. So like once when it established the community was there, and like the
nice.
connections between San Diego, Chile, Montreal, Vancouver, Japan, even like some guys in
Wow,
Hawaii too. All that stuff still continued and stayed, and a lot of members are still connected too, which is really cool.
that's
So
amazing.
that's like, I don't see it as a downfall. I don't see it as a
Yeah,
tombstone. It didn't do anything because it wasn't. in some ways, it didn't necessarily need to be like a forever thing. It didn't
Okay.
need to be a permanent thing. It actually was just there to establish this idea of like anyone can build a surfboard, anyone can make culture, and like in this certain community and stuff like that. And like all it takes is just like a few good minds to come together and just enjoy that experience and work on that experience so that other people can kind of get that
So
too.
Shaper lives on in the hearts and souls of its
Yeah.
brotherhood and sisterhood. Nice. I like
Yeah,
to hear that,
exactly,
man.
man. Yeah. Oh,
Sounds
dude.
like
Yeah,
a special
100%.
time in history, you know, like,
Oh, yeah, I would never trade any of that for anything else. And like it
yeah.
was a hard time, I think, for everybody because like entrepreneurship is really difficult, and I'm sure you're
Mm,
experiencing that yourself. But like, when you're working with so many like-minded individuals, when you're able to kind of have that ability to create and then kind of like work your specialties, like, some of us weren't even that great at shaping surfboards, but we could throw a hell of a party. Like some of us weren't like that good at like certain things, but when it was getting out in the community and bringing people together, like that was a huge thing. And like, so
yeah.
we needed all these amazing individuals to create this one concept. And like, that was really cool. It was, yeah, such a special time, such a special thing.
Yeah. And then I'd like to see how you guys were with shaping while partying.
Oh yeah. I
Those would be
mean,
some
yeah,
interesting boards.
man, yeah, a lot of asymmetrical boards. There was one time where, yeah, we had like a keg going on there for a while, like where we would just like kind of have a keg and you could get like beer by donation and stuff. And
Yeah.
like, like work got done, but like it was like, again, it was a clubhouse, man. Like it was a place where you could just like hang out, spend your membership, spend your time,
Nice.
it was good. Yeah, it was really good.
So, hey, Shaper, closed its doors, but
Hmm.
Hidden Village Surfcraft and Design, you know, thrives on. So
Yeah.
how did this happen?
Oh man, like I knew after like I think it was like 2016 when like I'd probably put in like about like 200-ish boards or something like that I was like, this is something I could do for a while. And whether it's with this brand Shaper Studios or if it's my own brand that I start, I was like, I know that I could do something. And when time came where it was like we had to close the door on Shaper Studios, I was just like, this is a perfect opportunity for me to like start my own thing. And I was just really lucky to be in this one building where like I became really good friends with the upholstery guy next door. And he
Hmm.
was like, I see this place is closing down, but I have like a small little spot that you can just like, clean out all and exterminate all the mice in there and like move all this garbage out. And then from there, you can create your own like little spot. And like, yeah, and it all of a sudden it happened. And I'm so thankful and I'm so happy that I'm doing something like this
Yeah.
too.
So how long has that been then? When did you officially open up Hidden Village?
Officially, it was like May 2019. And then, but like before that, I was kind of doing like that, like kind of like underground.
I was gonna
I'm making
say,
boards. I don't really
yeah.
have I didn't have a name or anything like that. I was an established business.
Oh,
Like
okay.
that's where Hidden Village kind of came from, was like, I just didn't know what to call myself or what to do.
Yeah.
And like, I just thought it was really funny because I was a part of such a really big community and I was still really allowing that community to kind of come in, but like I wasn't advertising anything. Like I wasn't
Yeah.
putting on anything. I was like, I'm gonna make surfboards, invite people in to do lessons, like just put my feelers out to see if I could do all these things by myself, like be the entrepreneur, be the shaper, sander, like the glasser, like put the ideas out there, like see what I could do with it and stuff. And so I decided to take my time. And then finally, when like May 2019 kind of came around, I was like, I have myself established. I'm feeling good about this. Like I don't need another job to like support me. This can be my permanent job. And yeah, I just took the dive and here I am
Right
having
on.
fun. Yeah.
So you offer, you teach people how to create a surfboard. You also
Yeah.
create surfboards for the market.
Yeah.
Now, I took a shaping lesson from you. Absolutely loved it. Great time. It was fantastic. Um, but this is hard work. This is tedious stuff. Like
Yeah.
this isn't for everybody. Let's just put it that way.
No.
Shaping surfboards isn't for everybody. Um,
Yeah.
it has this glamorous appeal to it, like, oh yeah, shaping surfboards is cool. But the realism of it is, I mean, you're standing in a bay for 8 hours or more a day. You got dust flying everywhere. You can't hear the music because the tools are too loud. You're not really talking to anybody. I mean, it's
So tough. Yeah.
so what is it that drives you to
Yeah.
to be a shaper, to do the shaping?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, like you said too, it's like tough. It really like actually the hardest bit, it's like, the environment you can control, like the dust quality, like the grossness and all that stuff. You can control that a lot yourself. So that's not the worst part of it. The hardest part is like just being a constant creative, like having the whole entire like pressure being everything's kind of on you to be able to
Mm,
create something that like someone's gonna like. And like you could have someone that's like terribly nitpicky and like other people like just like downright like reviewing the crap out of you, and it's all negative reviews and stuff. So like, or it's a positive reviews and it's really great, like these things happen. So like that's the hardest part, is like trying to be on all the time. Another thing too that's really hard is like all the materials that I use. Like I use like the slow curing epoxies and stuff. So like I don't get to like bang out boards like really fast like a lot of factories do, because they
mm,
get to use those like really toxic but effective products and stuff. So for me, like things get really slowed down. So if I make a mistake, like to basically correct said mistake is going to take X amount of time, which then leaves like, me figuring out what to be doing / panicking and all that stuff in your head. But like honestly, like why I shape and why I do this is honestly, it's because I feel like just Canada has this new fresh community and this like new first gen, second gen surfing thing going on. So I like being a part of that movement. And like, I think that's really exciting. Like whether I play a part in like creating really awesome boards, or just a part of just being a part of the stoke, and like you, like just like amping the level of the stoke, and like the more involvement of people joining the community and the sport in total, like that's awesome. But like, like for me, what keeps me going is that like I put my passion and my soul into my work, and like like that's huge. Like you don't get that
nice.
every day. You don't get that in every job. And like, is it rewarding if it pays well? Like not really, but like you can do something like that to help elevate yourself like that. And I think like just being able to be like so I get to work with guys like you and like customers that like I actually like form like really solid relationships with,
Yeah,
and like when I make a board for someone and like they super dig it, like like we're like connected for life almost, and
that's
I think
true.
that's
Yeah.
really cool. And like like just even like the ability to just constantly make and like have people be like, Rosin, like be creative, like do whatever you want to with my board. I'm just like, those are the things that keep me stoked. Like they see the artistic passionate side, like the functional side that I offer, and then someone's like, man, just do you, that's what I want. And I'm like, thanks. Like that's what keeps me going as like a shaper, as a board producer and stuff.
Yeah, it's cool, man, what you're saying. I get it. And what's neat? I like the fact that you're not just creating a board, you're creating a personality. You're creating an
Sure.
extension of someone. You're creating
Yeah.
their weapon, their tool, whatever you want
Yeah.
to call it. Like this is something that is very important to people. You
Yeah.
put the extra flair on it with the color and the artwork or whatever. But this isn't just like pumping out windows for a house or something. Like this is something
No.
people cherish their board.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that is really cool, man. And that's a memory that does not go away. Like I shaped that
No.
board with you, and man, I haven't rode it yet, but I can't wait. And I can't imagine surfing it without thinking where it came from.
Yeah.
I
That's
didn't buy
awesome,
this
man.
in a
Yeah.
store. This was made by
Yeah, it was
us, right?
made by you. Yeah, it was made by us. It
Yeah.
was made by you, with you personally in mind for the whole entire way. We were thinking about you. We were thinking about your wife. We were thinking about where you were going to the lakes and how we could like be able to do something like that. Yeah, just what was it, earlier on in July, I ran into some guy that I made a surfboard with, like back in like, yeah, I think it was like 2016 and stuff. and we made a board together. And he came, like, he literally saw me on the beach, like ran up to me and was like, Rosin, man, like this board, and was just like, this is like one of like my most prized possessions. And I was like, oh dude, like that's really nice.
Absolutely,
He's
yeah.
like, but he's like, no, seriously, like I go surfing so much these days, and like this is the board of choice, like all the time. Like I've progressed, I've become this like surfer, or at least I'm getting to where I want to be as this surfer. And like, you know, a lot of it is because I learned how to make this board, and like I learned with this board, and that was really cool, man. It was like something like the proudest moments of my life right there.
Right
For
on,
sure.
man.
Yeah.
Doing the Lord's work, pumping out surfboards. Right
Yeah.
on. So, hey, do you have a board of choice or a preferred board you like to shape or?
Yeah, I mean, like definitely, like out of the quiver that I've been making for like the Hidden Village quiver and stuff. Like I love all the boards that I make, and I'm so excited to be like constantly perfecting slash tweaking them and whatnot. Like right now, no, like I mean, like I'm so excited for like a little bit more like of this like winter swell and getting like a little
Mhm.
bit more power in the waves. And like I'm a huge longboarder and like a mid-length rider, but I've been like working on like kind of like a series of like more performancey fish boards slash like
Mhm.
hybrid fish boards, like twin fins to be precise. And I'm so excited to just do some testing on these things. Like
Right on.
honestly, like I'll wake up at like 2 o'clock in the morning and be like, oh, I can't wait, you know, and then like just go back to
Yeah.
bed again. But like, yeah, like honestly, like go-to boards for me are like just like I have this like 8 foot like you can call it like a mid-length basically, and like it's like that's like my go-to board for like anything that's like pretty sizable, like down at Sombrio slash like Jordan River and stuff, where like the waves really fast, and like this board like just like connects with the session or the sections, and like I feel like I have like a right amount of flair slash that's like the board that I've been surfing probably the longest for like the last like 5-ish years or something like that. And then you know like I'm just like, yeah, I'm so excited to like I'll still longboard throughout the winter too,
Yeah.
but I'm excited to put like something a little bit smaller under my feet and just like get those like really good like feels, you know? Like it's almost like I'm so excited I'm nervous. Like it's gonna be sweet, yeah.
Nice, man. Do you have dreams of shaping?
No, like dreams of surfing constantly.
Okay. I
Yeah, I
thought maybe
wouldn't say
you'd like
shaping.
wake up like, oh, did I, cut this out
Oh, like that?
right? Or,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's definitely plagued me like quite a bit. Actually, it's usually like I'll have dreams of like color combos or like an idea combo that I think is like really good. And like sometimes I'll just like wake up in the morning and be like, no, man, that was terrible. Like that was
yeah.
bad idea. Like that won't work. But like that I'll wake up and like I'll write ideas down for like what I think of, or like you know like I'll see like something while I'm walking down the street, like a particular pairing of colors or like something that like kind of like you know inspires me, and I'll take a photo of it and whatnot. But yeah, lately it's the surf dreams, man. Like especially that I'm not surfing as much, like I just wake up and I'm like, man, I had a surf dream, like I'm gonna feel like this for a little while, and then like I can calm myself down and go about my day and stuff. But yeah.
Amazing, amazing. So,
Mhm.
Rosen, man, where do you see, Hidden Village going? What is the future?
Man, what is the future for Hidden Village? Currently, right now, it's just like it's really perfecting those boards so I can get them under the hands of like some fantastic riders, like, you know, well, actually, like any rider at this point in time. I don't know, like I really see myself like just kind of working on this like West Coast community. I hope to do a couple more like collaborations these days with like a couple other shapers slash makers out here
Mm,
on the island. I think like what I would like to eventually get to is like a fun little collaboration point where like I could create like a collective of shapers, because we're still so like new, you know, like we
mm,
don't have many like second generation shapers, third generation
no,
shapers that you would see in California, where like they had like inspiration from all these other people. Like they lived near a shaping bay when they
yeah,
were young. Like their dad used to shape like really crappy boards and then taught them how to do it, and then they started to
yeah.
do it and take it on.
And you're
So
not
I'm like
going
really
to like the Association of Canadian Shapers convention
no, yeah, and like
or
I
stuff like
I
that.
Yeah, so like whether it's this particular company that I do something that with, or I just start to bring out a collective or something like that, that's like what I would personally like to do,
Yeah.
you know? Like I'd like to start, especially I think like COVID really brought up a lot of things to us as like in the community where like we don't make any of these products like the blanks, the boxes, the fiberglass, the resin. We don't have any of that product. So like
Mm,
now because like things are getting harder to get into Canada with America, you know, like our dollar has still always been much lower than the American dollar, and we buy these products at like such like steep amounts. It's like how can we either A, make our own products or be able to like start this industry like that, or how do we like collectively like work as like not a union but like as a collective where we can like really think about how to like help each other out as these small time shapers that like we're so spread across like Canada where like we could be helping each other out or finding a distributor to make sure that these products are cheaper so that we can kind of work ourselves into this like, you know, like into like generating, I wouldn't say like more, well, like just like more boards, but also like just making it affordable for us and making like this community just like last longer rather than like you see so many Canadian shapers like start up and then fizzle out and start
mm,
up and fizzle out because we don't have the industry, we don't have like the major like, you know, demand for stuff like that.
yeah.
But like it's starting to grow. Like there are so many lake surfers right now, river surfers, ocean
Yep.
surfers on the east and west coast. Like people are driving to get to like places, surf destinations. People like this stuff. It's just like we've never really had it before. So I hope to be a part of that growth of it, you know? And like I wanna get like a lot of new faces, a lot of new like people, a lot of different like cultures into surfing, especially in Canada. Like we're so young, we're so capable of bringing this sport a little bit like to that next elevated level. You know, and like I think like that's what I think that's where I'd like to go with it, whether it's me in Hidden Village, but I just know me personally, I think that's like the journey I want to go for.
Absolutely love it. Yeah, I love how your scope is going beyond just shaping. Like you're
Oh
really
yeah.
want to be a
Yeah.
community, get the community going. And I think the
Yeah.
concept, it needs to expand. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody and their mother who surfs would want to shape their own board at least
Yeah.
once, like I
Definitely.
did. I mean, I
Yeah.
wouldn't want to
Definitely.
do it all the time, but man, it is a great experience to, like I
Yeah.
said, sort of put yourself into it. So I think that there's a future for that for sure.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
yeah, and I would like to see, like shops that are in existence. Like when I get a shop one day, I'd love to see this component being a part of shops, like book a lesson to shape, like Saturday
Yeah, sure.
workshops or
Yeah.
whatever it is. I think
Yeah.
it's a fantastic idea.
Yeah, for sure, man. Or like even just like stop buying things from all over the world and just be like Canada's got
Yeah.
the designs, Canada has the vibe and stuff like that that we can start just really working that into like, you know, just our everyday surfing lives and stuff is like actually having those Canadian shapers, those Canadian
Yeah.
distributors, those Canadian stores where it's like a lot of cool Canadian products are from there.
Yeah. Now, isn't there, I forget what it's called, but isn't there a shop in Vancouver that supplies the resins and the foam and all that stuff?
It's basically it's like he's like the distributor basically. So like he's buying all the stuff from America. He's got like
Oh,
the
okay.
storage space for it, and then he distributes it out to all of us here.
Gotcha. What's the name
Like
of
and
that
like he's
shop again? What's the name of that
Swell
store?
Composite. Swell
Yeah, Swell
Composite would be the
Composites. Yeah.
yeah they'd be the guys to do it. Yeah, my man Steve. Way to go, Steve. Shout out to Steve.
Right on. Steve, you the man.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, man. So, do you have any words of wisdom for anybody wanting to get into shaping?
Yeah, for sure. I think the first thing is like develop your plan. What type of board are you trying to make, and then like what is the easiest way to get to that? And, like the first easiest thing is to like identify the shape and then find the right blank for that shape. Like you don't need to start off with like the most amount of like foam blank or anything like that. Like find something that's similar to what you're going for And then like, that's like step one. And then step two is just like put in some research. Like, it's so wonderful how there's so much information out there, from the shaping component to the glassing component to all the steps. You yourself could make a board if you have the space and the supplies to do it. So putting in a little bit of research, finding out like, you know, like those simple components and stuff. And then like, you know, it's an adventure. Get in there, have fun, get dirty, get gross, you know, make mistakes. That's the biggest thing. Cause like the beauty of it is no matter how weird, how crazy, or how awesome the board comes out, you're gonna love that board. You know, like you were the creator of that board, you're gonna surf that board. There'll be times like when I surfed my first board where I was like, this board is poop, but then you like learn from it and you can kind of grow with it. And like there's so many young guys and girls right now just like straight up just making boards all the time, and they all have the right idea, the right concept. They're all starting with something that they're familiar with. They're like working their way through it, and just by the time that it's all said and done, like just they're keeping that stoke alive. So that'd be it, you know. And obviously like give me a call and then I'll help you out. You know, I'm always into just like tossing some knowledge someone's way. So
man. Think you'll ever shape a wooden board?
Yeah, I have kind of shaped a wooden board. I haven't like shaped one for myself. I've helped friends shape their wooden boards, and I have like a lot of friends who have constructed a lot of wooden boards. I'm more in the kind of like, I'm more in the way of like putting the wood with the foam together, like creating my own blank, or like applying wood rails to like a shape, or like a sweet, beautiful tail block. I like wood boards. I love the look of them. I just like personally don't like to surf them because like I do like a heavy board, but wood boards are rather heavy. Whether you do them in the one way or not.
I can't imagine. I think they're a beautiful sort of wall piece.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they are. And like honestly, they surf super well too. Like there's two different ways that you can kind of construct a wood board, and both of them like, you got a board for life. Like that board will never like break, disintegrate, or anything like that. The board's staying strong, stronger than anything else out there.
Shore break, eh?
Yeah, exactly. It's definitely not going to get chopped in the shore break. It'll probably like, it'll last longer than you in a shore break for sure.
Nice.
And or like all of us, but it's like, I think I'd be into it, but it's not really one of my like set goals right now, or something that I'm like really frothing on. It's to add components of wood to my boards and to like kind of put some cool extra little flair in there is like I'm totally into it. And but who knows, man? You know, talk to me in like a couple of months and I might be like, I'm all about wood boards.
Yeah, right on. Well, man, as we wrap up, I just got a few more questions I like to ask people. And
throw them.
What else, when you're not shaping surfboards or out surfing, what else are you stoked about?
Oh man, there's so many things.
You're dancing right now, man. I know you.
I'm dancing right now. I'm into it. Yeah, that's something I miss like over COVID, is like going and seeing shows and dancing. Like I really love that. But that's something I like to do, you know, just for funsies. I'm a huge geek, so like all that, like kind of like I play Dungeons and Dragons almost like every week. I watch like a butt ton of cartoons. I'm so into reading books like fantasy and graphic novels and like all sorts of things too. Like I had sci-fi and all that fun stuff. I love, you know, I like to draw and do some art. I love martial arts and stuff like that too. I still do that on the regular, just like my own personal training, mentally and physically, all the time. And you know, I love just letting the days
nice,
go
man.
by, just enjoying it, relaxing.
Hey, what kind of cartoons are you into?
Oh man, what kind of cartoons am I not into? You know, like I like a lot of anime. Like I'm a big anime watcher, so like a lot of people don't really get that, but like I find that like the Japanese are like such awesome storytellers, and they have like such this like style and flair and stuff. So big anime watcher. I like funny, simple, like Adult Swim cartoons, like, you know, like even just like all the old school stuff that you would see back on like, you know, like Cartoon Network and whatnot. Like I'm super big and fan of those things. And you know, a lot of it's just like the shows that are like just like out on Netflix and all, like kind of like network providers these days. There's always something new coming out, and I'm like, for me, like with the cartoon, I always give the first 5 episodes like a chance, and then like it's like if it gets me in 5 episodes, like I'll commit to the cartoon until I'm like,
Yeah.
this is enough or whatnot. But yeah, and like I love all like the DC Marvel stuff too, like all that stuff like that you see on Netflix where it's like the Unjustice League, all this stuff. Like that stuff is
Yeah,
awesome.
man.
Like even
I'm
if
with
I
you.
already know the outcome on that stuff and I know it's gonna be cheesy, I'm like, this is perfect, like background, noise and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And I love a good superhero tale slash a good princess
Did you
tale too.
watch the new Harley Quinn animated show?
No, I didn't watch that. It's on my list, man. It's on my
Dude, it
list,
is
100%.
solid. It is hilarious. Yeah, man.
All right, I'm into it, dude.
I'd say
New
it's the
cartoons,
best
here we go.
Batman cartoon sort of since the Batman the Animated Series. Like
Ah, sick.
it's
Nice. All
awesome, man.
right.
I
I'm
mean,
into
it's
it.
not
Good.
comparable in the sense, but I think it's comparable in the sense of quality. But I mean,
Sick.
Batman the Animated Series it was a dark cartoon for
Oh, yeah.
kids, and it was serious.
So
It
epic.
was so epic.
So epic.
Harley
Oh, yeah.
Quinn is just hilarious. Just finding the
Yeah.
other side, the fun side of it all, right?
Yeah, I love, and I love that. I love like chaotic characters and stuff like that. I think like the
Yeah,
whole comic book spectrum really has like it's these days you can even see it's not even about the superheroes anymore. It's about the supervillain. You're always like, there's a new Batman movie, but who's the villain? And everybody likes
yeah.
that. Everybody likes those backstories, that like crazy stuff, and yeah, I
Well,
think it's
we
dope.
have
Good.
empathy for the bad guys now because we understand that life isn't just straight up good and bad. There's a lot of
Yeah,
gray.
sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, man. I like
Like
yeah,
that
the
Joker movie,
anti-heroes.
Joaquin Phoenix. I mean, to
Yeah.
me, that was a movie about mental illness. Like I
Yeah, oh,
really,
100%. Yeah,
yeah, I thought
definitely.
he was the
100%.
victim of a corrupt society. That was such a cool
Basically,
movie.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%, man. Yeah, exactly like that. And I like how like things are like working like that too. Like you can tell that like all these cartoons, superhero, anime, like all these things, they've always had that underlining tone. It's just like, can you see that value in the story, or are you only just looking at the action and the bang booms and stuff? So
Yeah.
I think like another reason why I've been attracted to cartoons and anime like that is that there's always something quality behind there. It's like you just gotta
Yeah.
find it. You just gotta like be a fan. You gotta
Yeah.
be into it in order to see all that stuff. Yeah.
And I'm a huge Looney Tunes, Merry Melodies, Bugs Bunny fan.
Dude,
And
100%. Like you literally get
yeah,
to my family's dinner table and it's 100% Bugs Bunny quotes. Like Simpson and
yeah,
Bugs Bunny
yeah.
quotes all the way. Like that's like you can't put my dad and my uncle next to each other without some sort of Bugs Bunny quote falling through.
Nice,
It's
yeah.
pretty great. Yeah.
So there's a new Bugs Bunny cartoon that came out on HBO, I think maybe about 10
Whoa.
episodes.
Whoa.
Really well done. Like really
Oh, really?
captures the old school like Chuck Jones. Like we're not talking Animaniacs or Looney Tune or sorry, Tiny
No.
Toons. I mean, those were cool
Yeah.
shows, but
Oh, I love Animaniacs so much.
yeah,
Freakazoid back in the day was like
yeah.
the tightness. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But this really it is just really keeps the spirit of the original series so well. The only thing
Yeah.
that I find really interesting, and I actually heard them talk about this on the Joe Rogan podcast, is that,
Hmm.
everything with guns these days, they've actually omitted the guns. Like Elmer Fudd and Yosemite Sam do not have guns.
That's good.
But,
Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah, but everybody is still blowing the hell out of each other with
I saw that.
dynamite and
Dynamite. Yeah.
dropping anvils on everyone.
Yeah, you can't get rid of a good anvil drop, man. Like
Yeah,
that's Acme 101, baby. Acme 101.
yeah,
Man.
but no
I love
guns.
people are gonna like tune into this podcast and be like, we got sword fighting, we got anime, we got all this stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and if they fast forward through the middle, they'll literally hear nothing about surfing almost.
surfing.
Yeah. But that's why this is Permastoked, man. It's about more
Dude,
than
yeah.
just surfing. It's whatever keeps people stoked and
Yeah, I
afloat,
like
right?
that, man. Yeah,
So
I
you
got that.
mentioned
That's awesome.
reading. You reading anything good too right now?
Actually, the only things that I'm like actually reading are like anti-racism books and stuff like that. Like kind of
Smart.
like a lot of workbooks and stuff, and a lot of like kind of like just like social books. But like to be honest with you, like summertime's not my reading time. Like generally summertime is my like really like focusing in on work and outdoor activities. Like come winter, you holler at me and I'll give you some good books and stuff like that. But
Right on.
no, it's just a lot of it's just like, yeah, self-improvement, like kind of like in like that, like the real work that's got to go on in the world right now. That's the stuff that I'm reading. That's the stuff
For
that I'm
sure,
going for,
man.
and pushing hard,
So,
man, pushing hard.
Indigenous reconciliation, Black Lives Matter, have any of these subjects made their way into your boards?
I would never, like, as a white man, I would never really like put those into the boards, but definitely on like the platform and stuff like that. I think like vocally as like an entrepreneur, like how like if you want to come in and do business with me, it's not like we have to talk about stuff like this, but if you ain't into it, then like
Mhm.
you ain't coming in my shop type thing like that. Trying to like just work with the community to like, hear the voices of the BIPOC community and like what they feel about like the surfing culture here in Canada. It's so new that like, like it's good to just accept and like show and like just express this permastoke that we can give everybody for
Yeah,
this, and like to add and bring, like to show everyone that like this is a community right here that wants everybody involved. Like no, like
nice.
we want you here with us, man. Like we got heart, we got love for the ocean. The ocean is for everybody. Nature is for
Yeah.
everybody. This feeling, surfing, it's for everybody. So yeah, making sure that there's no barriers or anything like that. That's what I apply to it, and that's how I definitely try to live my life and like make sure that I live my working life, my professional life, and my personal life like that.
I would love to see, done by the right people in the right spirit,
Yeah,
preferably of the culture. I would love to
yeah,
see some native art, some medicine wheels and things on
yeah.
surfboards, like bringing
Surfboards,
that
yeah.
message forward. That would be
Yeah,
so cool.
I think it's like at that point in time, it's like really like as white individuals and stuff, we can talk about stuff. Should that be on boards that people are buying and riding? I don't know, but definitely as like forms of expression,
Yeah,
forms of and stuff like that. Like what I think what you were going for with that
yeah,
too is, and like showing what I would love to do is to shape a board so that someone could come in and then I would give that board to them and be like, if you're putting your art on this board should be for you so that you can demonstrate your works in galleries and places like that. I will like put my name on as a shaper for it, but really this is your piece. This is your
nice.
art. And
Yeah.
if you want to express it on this medium that I can give you, that's freaking tight as and
No,
stuff.
that's what
Like
I think's
I love
cool
stuff like
about
that.
shaping boards is you can have these collaborations with artists, right?
Definitely. Yeah.
And so
Definitely.
you don't
Yeah.
have to
I've worked
worry
with
about, yeah,
No, yeah, and I've worked with a bunch of artists before, like, whether it's like a wall mount board or something like that. Cause like a lot of people be like, why would you make a board for like wall mount? It's like, I'm not really actually, I'm making a board that will surf regardless. But if there is a gorgeous piece and that's what the person wants for it or like what it's intended for, then yeah, by all means, like do it up.
right on.
I'm also not gonna lie, I have 5% on my phone. Woohoo!
All
We
right,
made it through.
man. We're wrapping up here. So, hey, how can people connect with you? Where can they find you?
Yeah, man. Hit me up on Instagram, Hidden Village Surfcraft and Designs, or you can find me online, www.hiddenvillagesurfcraftanddesigns.com. Email, same thing, same name. Just look up Vancouver Shaper and you'll
Right
find
on.
me, man. We're good. We're on
And
the
if you're
Google
in
for you.
Vancouver, you're on Main Street, go to the back of
Yeah,
the
man. And
upholstery shop.
yeah. Go to the back of the upholstery shop. Like, find the secret knock. You'll learn it. Or I'll just probably be out there chilling out, listening to music and stuff. Just holler at your boy. That's all.
Right on. Look for
Yeah.
the turtle logo. Sweet, man.
Yeah, look at the turtle logo. That's right, man. That's right.
Rosin, my friend, my 5% battery friend, it has been an amazing talking to you, man. You're keeping the stoke
Ah, it's
alive.
fantastic.
You're inspiring others. The boards are sweet, man. Keep the Instagram photos coming. I love seeing those colorful boards you're working on.
Thanks,
And
man.
yeah, man, just keep the stoke going. Keep doing what you're doing. And I encourage
Uh,
anyone listening, if you're in Vancouver, you want to shape a board, hit up Alex Rosin, otherwise known as
yeah,
just Rosin or Raisin.
just yeah, right. Nah, same to you, Derik, man. What you're doing for the community and what you're doing for everything, it's amazing. I just saw that you had Larry's daughters on like recently too in your last cast. I think that's awesome. You're giving a platform to people so that they can express all this stuff, like whether or not they're like super into the community or not. Like those girls are 100% so into the
Oh
community.
yeah.
Like that's next level stuff. I'm so stoked. And yeah, man, what you're doing and the opportunity that you give, like so thankful for it, dude.
Right on,
Absolutely so
man.
thankful.
Mahalo. I appreciate that, dude. And hey, anybody listening, Freshwater Surf Goods and Hidden Village, we've talked about collabs, and you might see some Freshwater Hidden Village team up boards built with
Yeah.
the lakes in mind.
Yeah. That'd be sweet, man. Looking
Yeah,
forward to the day.
with some freshwater designs. So I look forward to
Yeah.
that. And dude, yeah, man, it's been great. And I want you to stay stoked.
Woo!